Welcome back. Last moments now on the show for this year. Tola Abimbola, investment analyst at AfriInvest West Africa, joins me now to take a look at some of the issues we've raised on the program this morning, especially with regards the president's emphatic statement yesterday during his media chats. No devaluation of the Naira anytime soon. Good morning to you, Tola. Thank you so much for coming through.
Good morning, Harry.
So let's take it off from there. The president has emphatically said there is no plan to devalue the Naira anytime soon. We've had conversations off and on with regards to this particular issue, and listening to comments now from Bosun, it seems as if it's really going to be not at all in our favor to either allow the Naira to float or somehow to manage it. But if we devalue the Naira, if the president goes ahead and says, okay, you know what, the central bank should devalue the Naira, who comes up to pick Nigerian assets?
Well, Harry, before I go into the merit and demerit of the case for devaluation, I think it is quite instructive to know that the fact that the president is saying that devaluation is by no means a policy option at the moment calls into question the independence of monetary policy itself, because the president apparently does not need to be convinced that we need a devaluation. There's an independent monetary policy option by the central bank itself, and not for the fiscal authorities to make. So, number one, it calls into question the independence of the monetary policy body, that's the CBN itself. And going to the merit and demerit of the case for devaluation, I think I quite understand the reason why we're having this demand management policy. The argument is this: we have very little external reserves, and we have lots of competing needs. So there is a need for us to prioritize how we spend our little foreign exchange buffer. But we also need to understand that there are trade-offs to this particular policy. Number one trade-off is that you are keeping a lot of portfolio capital out of the country by creating this kind of uncertain foreign exchange environment. For most of the foreign investors, for them to bring in their money, they know that once you devalue, they're going to take some impairment hits. So the question is this: what we have now, would it be able to sustain us for the next 6-7 months? Because number one, the prospect of accrual into the foreign exchange reserve is quite low because of the low oil price environment. So number one, the other option for you to grow your external reserve would be by attracting portfolio capital into the country. Now the CBN is saying that, look, I'm not going to devalue my currency. Meanwhile, the foreign investors are saying the market and saying that, okay, the CBN is valuing the Naira at 197 Naira. But the market rate, where the demand and supply dynamics work, they are valuing the Naira at 250 Naira. So for them, it's a very easy decision. They're not going to come in unless there is much more certainty regarding foreign exchange. So number one, we are keeping a lot of portfolio capital out of the country. And this method may not be sustainable, because at the end of the day, if you don't attract more foreign exchange, you're going to run out of your reserve. So that's the first point. The second point is this: there is a trade-off in terms of domestic growth when you are restricting manufacturers and trade sector employees from accessing foreign reserve. Look at the data. We've been on this particular monetary policy path since the first quarter of the year, and we've recorded 2 consecutive sub 3% GDP growth. Manufacturing sector has been receding. We've had 3 consecutive quarters of recession in the manufacturing sector. People are losing jobs. So there is a policy trade-off in terms of domestic growth and in terms of the labor market. So the question now is this: would the president be willing to actually trade off, let's say a 20% devaluation for us to achieve some level of domestic growth? I think that's the question. I think,
but then, but sorry, Tola, to cut you there. If you listen to what he said, he actually said there's going to be a kind of a review of the items, the 43 items that were banned from accessing Forex from the CBN window. There was going to be a review of it so that the productive industries who are actually caught up in that will somehow see a leeway, will get a breather. And so just maybe we can actually see the productive sector, talking about manufacturing now, for instance, getting a breather in 2016.
Well, I've not heard a formal circular. I've not seen a formal circular from the CBN indicating that the items will be reviewed. But if they are reviewed, I think it will be very, very positive for the economy. I mean, you'll be able to free up investment spending to these particular sectors if those things are done. However, the most important point is this: how long are we going to keep the exchange, how are we going to keep subsidizing the foreign exchange rates? I think that question would need to be answered by the CBN in the short to medium term because it is rightly not sustainable. That's the honest truth, Harriet.
But then the president actually said that, the central bank should begin to look at reviewing those items. And so it's not sustainable how the forex reserves are at the moment. It's not sustainable what the Naira is being sold at for either the pound or the dollar or even the euro. But what will be sustainable in the short to medium term?
I think what will be sustainable is for us, number one, to acknowledge the fact that our trade balance has been impacted by the low crude oil price environment. We are running a current account deficit for 3 quarters now. And the sound economic sense that comes with running a current account deficit is that you adjust your currency to make an adjustment in the trade balance. So you can probably have less demand for foreign exchange. So you can have, let's say, a minimal current account deficit. That's the sound economic sense for you to make in such an environment. So number one, what will be sustainable in the short to medium term is first, you have to adjust your currency to reflect the new trade balance and cut your current account deficit. Number two, you need to attract more portfolio capital. Number three, you need to run an expansionary budget to stimulate employment and output growth in the economy. I think those are the obvious choices for the government at the moment.
Well, thank you so much, Tola, for joining us on the program this morning and giving us your thoughts as well. It's the last day officially for the year 2015. Thank you so much for being a part of Business Morning. I will see you next year.
Thank you very much, Harry. See you next year.
Tola Abimbola is an investment analyst with AfriInvest West Africa, giving us his thoughts on the perception investors have with regards to valuation and what should be done in the very short to medium term. But that's it on today's edition of the program. Many thanks for staying with us for today and, of course, throughout the year 2015. It's been an absolute blast. Let's do it again in 2016. I'm Harriet Agbeni. Have a good holiday.